welcome to the Talon Outdoors Show. Almost said, and we're back. I'm Charlie.
I'm JD.
And I'm Grant.
Well, we are back.
Yeah, we are back. It's
sort of, kind of.
Yeah,
I'm mostly here.
Yeah, It's. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All right, because by
full.
the time y'all hear this, y'all will have had Thanksgiving, and at least I hope everything works out right. But we're recording the day before Thanksgiving, so forgive us for not being able to brag about what all I ate. You know,
yeah.
Well, here you go, man. I'm still swole from all that food. My wife made some good collard greens. I know she did because they're sitting on the counter at the house right now being cut up. She didn't buy the bags this year. She went and got real collard greens.
Collards?
All the way to Sneed's.
Man.
Went to the store in Sneed's, and what's the store over there now? Is it Buddy's or something like that? Or,
yeah, I think that's right.
She went over there and got some real collard greens because she couldn't find them in Mariana anywhere. And I said, I went to the Winn-Dixie after. Was it Winn-Dixie? Yeah. It ain't Walmart. We don't have a lot of places to choose from. It's Grocery Outlet, Winn-Dixie, and Walmart. I don't do Walmart unless
that's your only
I have
choice.
to. Yeah. And Winn-Dixie, since they went to the self-checkout thing, I've been kind of mad at them, but they did have a person check me out the other night when I went to pick up some pizza. Went in there, and I said, there's collard greens here in the bag.
Hold on a minute. You went to Winn-Dixie to get your pizza?
Well, it's next door.
Oh, okay. I got you.
The Hungry Howie's is next door to the Winn-Dixie. Next to the First Commerce Credit Union that you know, and the which, you know, okay. They don't have a Prime Meridian there. I wish they did, but
I understand now. I was just a little confused. I thought you went all the way to Winn-Dixie.
If Sammy will open a Prime Meridian branch in Mariana, I'll just shut everything else and just go right straight there.
There you go. But I know somebody probably could get to running over there.
Yeah, yeah. Some like family.
Yeah,
almost like family.
Almost like family.
Kind of a lot like family.
One of them Johnson boys.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful with them Johnsons.
You do got to watch them. Watch them close.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's what was I talking about?
I don't know.
Collard greens.
Collard greens.
Yeah, she got the regular collard greens because she said I don't like them with the
Cut
stems.
The stems out of them. Yeah,
I said I like that. That's what we're talking about. See, I'm getting some Jackson County in her now.
She knows what she's doing. That's the downside to buying them collard greens that's already chopped up. You got to go in there and de-stem them, and it's a bigger pain in the butt to de-stem them after their leaves are chopped up.
Well, they chop them up like them bags of salad. So
right. It's not salad.
It's like way more work.
Yeah.
And you're eating the stems, so you pretty much just get used to eating the stems. But she's cleaned them up. She's in the kitchen cleaning them up.
This past weekend.
So I hope they were good.
I'm sure they will be. Just put a little sugar in them.
She's got all kinds of stuff. She's got the flavors. Anyway, so it's going to be a big event. Sitting there putting my drink on Pookie here. We got Pookie magnets in here. If y'all don't remember Pookie the Ochisi Pond dog or something like that. Anyway, they went from magnets to coasters because the magnets don't stick to wood, and that's what the table's made out of.
Well, we got a bunch of folks coming to the house. If provided the house ain't all sick. I came back from a hunting trip, and I don't know if it was just I hadn't felt bad. I sound funny because my sinuses are all congested, and
this is how much we love y'all folks. When we get this show out here, we bring in a sick man into the studio. And
I ain't much been up out the chair the last 2 days.
You talk fast so we can get out of here.
Yeah, I'll cough on you in a minute.
So we're going to talk real fast, Grant, and you just put your finger on the record when you play it back and slow it down a little bit, and that way it'll...
You talking about collard greens? Me and Tater last weekend had to go to Atlanta for a soccer tournament because Annie was working the football game, and it was just me and Tater went to Atlanta, and we took back roads up. I don't know what all them Georgia back roads were, but back roads all the way, two lane roads all the way through Georgia, all the way up to Sylvester to where we got on 75.
I've got I have employees and plantation contracts in Sylvester.
Yeah, so we went to back roads, and man, we went there, and on the way back, I did the same thing because it was just a much more enjoyable ride. I hate, as you know, I do not care for interstate driving, and got to see a many acres of Georgia snow, all the cotton fields. They were getting picked. And a bunch of them got picked while we were gone because they were working diligently at picking the cotton and stuff. But we rode by a field of, I bet you it was 10 or 15 acres of collard greens. And Allie was like, we were looking at all the different crops, and I was trying to explain what it was, and and so forth. And she goes, "Daddy, what's that? We ain't seen that." I said, "Baby, that's collard greens. If it's nighttime when we come back from Atlanta."
Don't you be poaching no collard greens.
I thought about it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought about it.
I know. It's tempting.
He can run out there with a pocket knife and get you a mess real quick.
So, did you see that picture I sent you a little while ago?
Of that monstrous buck deer?
Poached monster deer. And I couldn't get the permission from the plantation manager it came off of to discuss where it came from. So let me just say this. If you're somewhere out on 27 South near Avalon Road, and you're driving a white Dodge with a gray stripe down the bottom, you got a gray bulldog in the back with clipped ears, don't let one of my plantation security guys get behind you because you picked up a poacher. And we're pretty sure yesterday about 5:30. Well, no, that would have been Tuesday about 5:30. And hopefully by the time this airs, we will have figured out who it is because we're going to be posting it everywhere. There's cameras, there's people, there's patrol folks, and you were encountered by the very plantation manager that was dealing with that out there. I understand the temptation.
Oh yeah,
when there are
amazing deer
crossing a county road and going from private property to private property, there's a lot of temptation there. But you're not allowed to shoot a deer in the road, and you certainly can't shoot one on private property. Yeah. And I don't know if shooting a deer in the road is a misdemeanor or a felony, but I can tell you shooting one on private property where the bullet crosses the property line is a felony, and going on the said property armed to get it is a felony. And I knew some people that would do that growing up. I don't think I've ever done that. When I was younger, it wouldn't have been something that stuck in my brain. But I mean, we always kind of knew the guys that were trespassing. We knew the guys that were poaching. We knew those guys. But you got to have a little bit of honor. The thing is that rack that, by the way, you didn't recover. The bear got the meat, and the plantation got the rack, and they're gonna mount it as a reminder how ticked off they are at you.
Yeah.
The fact is you didn't benefit at all, and all you did was show your true colors. Now I ain't saying that the guy in the white truck with the gray stripe down the bottom with the bulldog with the clipped ears. Now somebody out there is gonna know who that is. I ain't saying he's the one that did it, but the person he put in the truck probably was the one that did it. And since they ran from the plantation manager as quick as they could, there's a good clue. So if you got information as to who that might be, and you hadn't seen an arrest in the paper,
it's sad.
Give me a call here at the office and leave me a message, and I'll get back with you.
Was it at least in the daytime, or was it? It was
around 5:30, which was sort of daytime.
Weren't spotlighting on top of it.
No. There's legal ways to do a lot of different things, but not on somebody else's property.
Yeah. And not on the county, and not on the road. That's dangerous, shooting on the roads. And then that's you got to be.
Well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the road when it got shot because these places they have look at that dog whining, wanting to get out. You be patient, girl. Oh my Bookie, that's Lily right there. That's a spoiled, rotten little dog.
We got plenty of them in our life, don't we?
And she didn't want to go out in peace. She just wants to go out and visit. There's something out, isn't there? There's some. Oh, you know what? There's some A-Town wings in there, and there's some. If you're looking for some good wings and Philly cheesesteak, there's some Philly cheesesteak in there.
That was mine. So that Philly cheese, one of them Philly cheesesteaks is mine.
If it's still there when you get out there,
we might have to tussle.
On the break, I might run in there.
We might have to tussle over that.
You can have it if you want it, if it means that much to you. Anyhow,
we'll split it with you. It's cut down the middle.
They are. I generally eat a half of one because I'm not a glutton like that. Then I eat about 12 or 14 wings.
I've seen you eat. Now you do remember that. You do realize that.
I do eat, and I eat pretty much anything. So anyway, we'll be right back. deer, because it is dead in hunting season. And now where I'm at, we're getting
just
there.
getting started.
We're getting there. But you said up on your lease.
So I hunt up in South Georgia, about an hour north of Tallahassee, and up near Camilla. And so over the weekend when I was out of town at the soccer, me and Tater was playing soccer in Atlanta.
You were too, huh?
Huh?
You were too, huh?
Yeah. But so my buddy Stuart, that's in the lease with me, his son Austin, went up to the lease this weekend and killed Frank the Tank, who is a big buck that we've been watching for 3 years. He was an absolute specimen the last 2 years. The 2 previous years, he was a huge, probably 150-inch 10-point that had been hanging out that we had a lot of nighttime pictures of, and never could catch him in the daytime. I've been sharing pictures.
You've been talking about him for 2 years.
Yeah, I've because he was so recognizable, not only because of his rack, but because of his body size. He was just so much bigger than everything else. He was the boss. He was the head honcho on the property up there, and Austin was in the right place at the right time and took him. Now this year his antlers, he is so old, his antlers have gone way down this year, and that's what happens when bucks get old.
Yeah, racks their racks get smaller as they get older.
And but it's unmistakably the same deer. And he weighed 229 pounds, so he's a hoss.
Holy cow!
229 pounds. They weighed him at the processor, so he was a monstrous big animal. And but the most amazing thing happened. So 3 days later, after they took this big dominant buck that had been absolutely ruling the roost up there, no longer walking in the woods. Last night on camera, I had 2 brand new, really big bucks. Never seen them before, and I'm pretty familiar with all the critters roaming around because of cell camera, trail camera technology. The number of pictures I get every night, I'm pretty much know all the deer that I had on the place up there. And these 2 new bucks showed up 4 days after he's gone. Long live the king. The king is dead. Long live the king. Mm-hmm. And 2 new bucks showed up last night.
So who's going to be Frank Jr.?
Yeah. Well,
could even be the same bloodline. You never know.
Most likely probably is, because you have dominant bucks, and we've seen some of the same genetics over the years. You start, you look at them, and we've been on this lease 3 years now, so we've seen some commonalities between some of the deer that they're from the same. They'll have an extra kicker point coming out the base of their horn or whatever. We had one that we called Unicorn up there a few years ago. We've seen several of his offspring because he's recognizable. He had one antler that poked straight out the front along with his normal rack. He had one antler that came right straight out the front that was unique, and we've seen 3 different bucks now that have that same characteristic of that point sticking out the front.
Freak.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, it's just like for us, it's hair color, eye color.
That's a
weirdo. Yeah.
Which movie I'm referring to, right? You know which movie I'm talking about? What was it? What's that comedian that it was a gigolo with that he saw his rather heavy girlfriend as being anyway, God dang, what is it?
Oh, Shallow Hal?
Shallow Hal, yeah.
Okay.
Remember they were talking about,
that's not nice, Charlie.
I'm just saying, I don't agree. I'm just saying, but that was when you're talking about deer being a freak and a huge something. I can't say that on the
But yeah, so hunting season just got really, really interesting up at my hunting lease because of these 2 new animals, and it's probably going to invite a bunch of other ones in, being that somebody's trying to replace the king up there. So yeah, I enjoy. This is what I like about hunting. It's the chase and the observation and the time in the woods, and you get to see all these things. And I got a fox squirrel up there that's the coolest thing. And I don't know if I showed you. I've got a solid black fox squirrel. silver tail. The rest of him is solid black. He is absolutely beautiful, and I've got a bunch of pictures of him. And I want to get a good picture of him with a good lens on a zoom instead of the the trail camera pictures. But I'm hoping to get a good picture of him. And he's just a cool looking little critter that hangs out at the same place. I take pictures of him all the time there with the cell cameras.
What you see out in the wild and on these leases, plantations, large properties, or sometimes they're just in your backyard. I mean, Tony Chambers is one of our plantation patrol guys, and I was talking to him earlier today on the phone about this poaching incident. He goes, man, I left the house the other day, and he said, I saw everything. I saw deer, I saw turkeys, I saw this, I saw every kind of bird. He goes, and coyotes, and then I got home, and there was an alligator in my driveway. And
get on out of here.
He lives in the woods. I said, man, if you'd have seen a bobcat and a panther, you'd have had the whole
trifecta.
He saw a bear. I mean, he saw, it's just, and that's I wonder what sometimes these guys even want to come work on the plantations and ride and you talk like Todd McKissick, folks like that, and they're not doing it for the money. They just get to ride around plantations all day and hang out. And
well, I don't know if I even told y'all about this on our trip to Kentucky. We're sitting there in the stand middle of the day one day, and I just happened to look up, and out the window I saw something moving or whatever fly, and it was a bald eagle. Flying low, flew right over the stand, and then 5 minutes later, here comes another one. And I mean, just how cool is that?
I look out in the yard sometimes, and you'll see some little kites or whatever they are flying around.
The swallowtails.
Yeah, and then and every now and then you look out there and there'll be a bald eagle sitting out there in the field just staring back at you. And we got there's a couple of healthy ones around the house there, and they just. I mean, they come around. It's like they just own their environment.
We have those here at the range. There's a lot of them that hang out around the river. They, I think they're primary. I think that the swallowtail kites, that's one of the FWC on the Fish and Wildlife law enforcement officers' patch. They have that bird on their patch. That's part of their.
They're interesting.
Part of their
watching them fly around out there.
They're a very unique bird of prey.
Make a little bit of a racket. I think they. But what I was saying, we have bald eagles there come out there and sit in the field. Yeah. There's eagles. There's hawks everywhere. I mean, especially around my quail pen. They just like to.
Yeah, I know what they're doing.
Sometimes you go up there to the quail pen,
looking for a
look
snack.
up, and there'll be a hawk over there and a hawk over there.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're in the pen.
They're looking at dinner.
Well, they're not in the flight pen this year. I'm keeping them in the building because the flight pen is in a state of disrepair, but the building's fine.
From all them holes the hawks are tearing in.
Yeah. I mean, they're predating. The birds are healthy this year, but I'm just raising them for me. So I don't, as long as they smell like a quail and that dog in there will point them and they'll get up and fly a little ways, that's all that matters.
How's your depredation permit filling tag permit filling coming along?
Just trying to convince myself that I want to go out there and shoot a deer and clean another deer.
Clean it in the middle of the night.
I mean, you can leave them laying, but I can't bring myself to waste a deer. I mean, I told you, we went out the other night and there were 32 in the backyard, and that's just unheard of. And we've done what we can. It's I know the neighbors are wondering what in the world, but I've told them all what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You got to call in if you go out at night, and you got to report the deer and do this and do that. But I got the tags, and we're going to tear it up here coming up. Got some family coming to town. I can designate people to use these tags, and so we got my niece and her husband coming in from Jacksonville, and he shot his first deer there last year, I think. Shot a little basket 10-point.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know such a thing existed, but it was his first deer he shot, and we're going to put him out there and let him take some meat back home. And but I did my first round. I bought a dehydrator. Did my first round of beef jerky last night.
Venison jerky.
Yeah. Venison. Mixed results. The flavor's good. A lot of brown sugar and some spice and stuff.
You got to have
that.
good teeth.
No. It's tender. It's tender. But what I found was slicing. Like if I'm doing backstrap, and I'm getting a nice even slice, and I'm doing it looks pretty, and turns out really good. Like the other pieces if it wasn't a pretty piece of meat going in, it was just like the strips and stuff. It's hard to determine how small they're going to get when they shrink up.
Right.
and it's okay. It's okay. I think I was talking to Matt in here, and he grinds his up and uses the tube like the caulk gun.
Right.
So I ordered me one of those. And I'm going to try that for a more consistent. I never have been a big fan of the pre-chewed stuff, but it's
step into a Slim Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I get the snack sticks, but I go to Veterans Meats over in Cottondale to get my processing done for over there. I mean, I like Johnson's. I like there's different places. There's one up there in Coon Bottom.
Coon Bottom, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them around, but Veterans is right there, and super guys, former corrections guys, and different military, and I like. And they're in that CWD zone over there, so they're going to get busy this year because people can't take it outside of there without boning it out, and people don't want to bone out their meat before they go unless they have to. But they do some really good snack sticks and some really good sausage. But I have enough snack sticks and sausage to last me for the next year and a half to 2 years now that I've taken enough deer over there. So everything else is probably going to be processed at the house. And we did about 20-something things of burger the other night. Had CJ in there running the cuber, cubing the back strap, and we had mixed some beef fat in with the venison, and gonna try some bacon fat with some and grind some of that on this next batch. And but I decided I wasn't gonna smoke anything this year. I'm just gonna. But the beef jerky is a new thing because the snack stick and jerky is very similar to me. I like to do stuff myself if I can. So we're gonna give it a shot. I mean, getting a meat mixer too.
Cool. That'll help.
We'll be right back. Hey, at the bottom of the hour here, I want to talk directly to some of our Wiregrass area folks. So we got a seminar coming up. We partner with Right to Bear, which is a prepaid legal defense fund that we're really proud to be affiliated with. We've worked with other people before, but these folks are really on the ball. And we announced a couple of active shooter seminars, or we announced one in Tallahassee, put it out to our email list, and within about 45 minutes we had filled up the 75-person room. Wow. And registering online, and then turn around and did a second day, and within an hour or two that sucker filled up too. And that's December 5th and 6th, and those are full. Well, we're going to start doing some a little more often. But in Alabama, in Dothan, we are going to, on December the 14th at 6 p.m., that'd be Central Time for those of us on the
slow time,
that side of the river.
Slow time.
Hush. We're going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn.
Slow.
And we're hosting it, but Right to Bear is going to be presenting it. It's hosted by Talon Range of Dothan, and that's on Hospitality Lane in Dothan. You can Google the Hilton Garden Inn. I mean, it's, you can go over to the Holiday Inn Express if you want to get smart, but you come over to Hilton Garden. We'll teach you about the law and actually learn you some stuff about the Alabama laws, which they're presenting. They got an attorney coming in talking about this stuff. I mean, Alabama law has been kind of difficult for me to navigate since we've been up there, because it's and then we were talking to Fred on one of the last shows, and I said, you can't just, in Florida, you just Google Florida law on stand your ground, you'll come up with the statutes, and you can read everything, and it's very, very in-depth. It's an exhaustive read, but it's there. Mm-hmm. In Alabama, you're liable to come up with something that's 5 or 6 years old and it's changed since then or whatever, because you really got to know where to look to get Alabama law. And so this is an opportunity. Now, we got about 30, 40 people registered already. You can go to our Facebook page. I'm going to share it here before the show comes out. It will have been shared. Hadn't done it so far. We'll push it out there, and you can always call the range and get there. You can find us. Just Google Talon Range of Dothan, and you'll get all the contact information there. And because I know nobody's sitting by with bated breath and a pen and a piece of paper fixing to write down the number. The
same active shooter as active shooter?
No, it is Alabama gun laws.
Alabama gun laws.
Nothing to do with active shooter or self-defense. It's all about how to stay out of jail.
Okay.
If you end
that's
up
good.
having
That's good information then.
Well, that's why I was saying it was all about Alabama laws because it's complicated.
Yeah.
It should be simple, but if you could find it online and read it, it would be easy. But you just, it's so hard to find. They make it. We pass this law, and then you find 3 different versions of what passed on. I've been doing the research, and it's hard up there. But so that's going on. I wired some bays the other night at our facility up there, and before this airs, I'm hoping at least by the first of the week I'll have the lights on those bays. So we've been staying open till 6, but it's been getting dark at 5. And so our guys are twiddling their thumbs around there wondering why we're still open. And I said, well, we're just going to hook up some lights. And there's issues with Alabama law and shooting after dark and all that stuff, but it's no big deal. We can do it. It's just y'all get off work when you get off work, and then you can't go to range and shoot. So we're going to fix that.
It's part of being on slow time.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I'll tell you what I think about you when we can get off the air.
Well, I grew up on the right side of the river. You grew up on the wrong side of the river. We're talking about the Apalachicola River and the time zone,
Well, you grew up on that hill with those people in Chattahoochee, so
yeah, I
can't say that word.
Well, you can. It's just
some things you can't say on the air.
Well, at least we kept them locked up over there. That's it. Y'all let them run loose, and there's a difference. There's all kind. I mean, you can't mess with me about that, because growing up in Chattahoochee, I done heard it all.
Oh, I know.
I got to come back for all of it.
I just want them to know I'm going easy on you, because I'm just glad to see you finally got a haircut. You look like a
woolly booger, didn't I?
Yeah. I was
getting a little furry.
JD, for the last several weeks, every time I saw JD, he just crawled out of bed.
Albert Einstein. I had my Albert Einstein hair.
Pretty much had. You've been sleeping in the back seat of the van, or like a homeless guy. All right, we'll be back in a minute. And we're back. I'm trying to. When we get done with this thing, we're just talking about. We have this noise in our headphones right now that is aggravating the fire out of us that y'all apparently can't hear. And so if you see us jiggling things and looking, because I did it in the first couple. Well, you're not going to see us on the radio, but if you watch the YouTube channel, you'll see. If you watch the YouTube channel, you see all kinds of stuff you don't get on the radio. Now, we love our radio stations, and we're glad to be out there on the air, but we've moved into YouTube and Rumble, which is a paid service. Not like we get anything. It's not like
you got to pay to have it, maybe. I guess.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's not.
That's where you.
What is
that
thing they do now? Everybody's doing now.
I don't know.
The real popular one.
Which one?
The well, it's not MySpace.
Spotify.
It's not Spotify. It's the one that all the
OnlyFans.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
He knew exactly what the heck it was.
I know what it is.
He was just trying to get me to admit that I had heard of it before. That's all.
I know.
That's all that was.
You know how I'm on names. It's not.
That is all that was, folks.
I will hand you my phone, and that ain't on my phone.
Ain't on mine neither. Ain't on nothing
or something you got to log into, but it ain't on there.
I am ashamed to admit I've heard of it before. That's how.
Well, you hear about it because that's where everybody's. The
deprived world we live in. Yes,
they are making a bunch of money. The problem is, I don't think that you or I have anything to offer them. Although there is.
Nope.
Now, see, that's the thing is in the world of men. There's all kinds of perverted interests and things out there, but you don't hear a whole lot about women being interested in none of that stuff. If we were a couple ugly women, we could go. We got an OnlyFans page, and we'd make a bunch of money going over there and being naked. But
unfortunately, we're ugly men.
But being ugly
and
men,
ain't nobody gonna pay for that.
There's not a market for that. And I don't think it's fair. I think they're wrong for that, and that we should have a lawsuit and go, hey, not that I would do it or that I would want the money from it, but at least knowing that you had the opportunity. That's what bothers me. Is just you don't even get a seat at the table even if you don't want one.
Dude, there's people in the world, and I've been told this. There's people that get on there and just take videos of their feet, and
I've heard about that, and
I haven't seen it.
you can bet your butt I ain't seen it. But my point is that there's people out there willing to pay money to look at other people's feet.
That's weird.
What's going? Yeah, Paul.
That's weird.
Hey, welcome, Paul.
That's weird.
Paul walked in on the break, y'all. Paul's here. Captain Paul Tire.
What a time to join.
Walked in for the foot conversation.
Foot conversation.
well, why would you pay for that?
I don't know.
I
don't
get
know.
you a Sears and Roebuck catalog and just look at sandals or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm dating myself right there.
It's just what do you do?
They had an underwear section.
They did. They did. As a matter of fact, they did. Dog's over there wanting to get out, y'all.
I let you out earlier. What's the matter with you?
She'll go out there and be scratching on the door here in a minute.
Yeah.
It's just I don't get a whole lot of this. I don't get a whole lot of the stuff that's going on in our world anymore. But whatever. It's there's still plenty of normal people. That's why I try to hang around. There's people like Grant that wholesome.
Thanks.
Wholesome, good guys.
Let me see your phone.
All the listeners, all the viewers and the listeners.
That nervous laughter.
That's our kind of people.
Yeah, the people that listen to this show probably
That's right.
think we're crazy for talking about this stuff. So,
but it's out there and it's all over the place. And if you look at your phone and all, and look at the news and look at stuff, it's so and so. Two celebrities' daughter now has, and her mother followed along, and but then when one of your parents is like Charlie Sheen, that sort of tells you the lifestyle you were raised with.
Speaking of Hollywood and Hollyweird, and speaking of new TV shows, have you seen any of the Bass Reeves? It's another Yellowstone prequel.
No,
and it's based on Bass Reeves's career and life. And if you don't know who that is,
I don't.
So Bass Reeves was a U.S. Marshal. He was black. He was a former slave or an escaped slave, or he actually.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And he became in the Indian Territory. The hanging Judge Parker, hired him to be a deputy U.S. Marshal. And he is actually historically believed to be whom the character of the Lone Ranger was based on.
Really?
And Paramount has a new miniseries featuring his life. And from everything that I've read about him prior to any of this, they're doing a pretty good job of following along so far. I think about 4 episodes in now.
I've read some history on him. Now, I didn't recognize the name, but now you're talking about him. I've read some history on him, and he was a bad dude.
Yes, sir. He was a man. Now, I mean, he would go out into where there was no law in the Indian Territory in Oklahoma. And you had all these bad guys, trading guns and liquor and doing all these smuggling stuff in and out of Indian Territory at the time. And that's where if you were an outlaw and you did something bad and you wanted to go where you could, where it was difficult to be found, that's where you went.
So how does it tie into Yellowstone?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
Somebody will make a cameo appearance.
But they're supposed to be tying it into the Yellowstone 1883 and 1923 and all this stuff. It's supposed to be tied in there.
Killing doing all that stuff. And the thing is folks like us just eat up everything he puts out.
Yeah. So, so far I've watched all the episodes that are out right now, and they're pretty doggone good. It's been good. And I like Western shows anyway, and it's kind of cowboy and Indians and shoot 'em up Western stuff, and it's good. I've been enjoying it. So you have to catch up on that.
They make comedy westerns. Been doing it since the 60s and 70s, I think.
Yeah. He's talking about Blazing Saddles. So, yeah.
It was what it was. That's when you could do comedy. You can't do comedy now. You're talking about Hollywood, and you got all these actresses and actors and everybody else that are going at each other right now because there's a writer's strike. They're not doing a whole lot, so they got to go after each other. And some of them are pro-Palestinian and anti-Israeli, and some of them are anti-Semitic, and some of them are
Yeah.
But it's and some girl got fired from said something, got fired from a series I didn't even know was a series. There's like some Scream. So there's like 6 of them now, the movie Scream. And she ain't coming back because she said something pro-Palestinian. Or, I don't get it. You got, all I know is if you cross a line and kill a bunch of my people, I'm going to cross that line and kill as many of you as I can. And that's kind of what Israel's doing right now. Is I go back to the thing, and here's my standing on it. You can feel the way you want to about folks of different religions and whatever, but if the Israelis said we want to have peace today, they would have peace. If the Israelis said we're going to let y'all have whatever you want, within a decade there would be no more Israelis in Israel. But if the Palestinians said we want to have peace, the Israelis would never attack them again if they could keep people from
if they would keep the peace.
If they would keep the peace and quit blowing stuff up, they could coexist over there if they wanted to, but they'd all have to live together. And the thing is the Palestinians, maybe not Palestinians per se, but the Muslims in general in that region,
the radicals,
the radical Muslims in that region. Want to sweep them off from the river to the sea and get rid of all of them.
They've made the radicals over there, the radical Muslims over there have said repeatedly, and you have to take them at their word, that they want them wiped off the face of the planet.
If you say it, I got to believe you're going to do it. You say, if you come at me in an alley at night and go, I'm going to stab you with this knife, I'm going to shoot you because I'm going to take you at your word. I'm going to take you
at your word. Yeah. And there, you do have. You've got bad and good in all religions. There's no question about it. But when you have leaders of these countries that take these extremely radical positions and say, we want Israel wiped off the face of the planet and we want to kill all the Jews, you have to take them at their word. And you can't, if you're Jewish, you better be preparing to defend yourself when that happens.
Well, I promise you, in our country,
and they are very well prepared to defend themselves.
Oh yeah, and so are we here. And if it was up to if all of the conservatives in this country fell off the face of the earth, most of your hardcore left-wing radical would not shed a tear.
Yeah,
and we'd go fight for them. They'd be happy if we were gone.
Yeah,
We'll be back. And we're back.
And we are.
Yeah. See, y'all just on the radio. You heard some commercials. I don't know. We were
lost track.
It's fishing time.
Well, we were talking about
fishing.
politics, but we're going to get away from all the international politics.
Let's get on something that a bass don't care if you are cropping, if you are a Democrat or Republican or black or white or female or a male, it doesn't matter.
Well, I don't either if you leave me alone.
Well, that's true too.
You let me do my thing and let you do your thing. I don't care all that. I don't care about all that stuff. Because the fact is nobody wants to leave you alone anymore.
That's right.
So there was so apparently, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, but there was something that the Biden administration is messing around out there negotiating outside of congressional authority to blow up some dams up in Washington to increase the salmon population in the Snake River or something, which, it's like he's doing this thing with the environmentalists, and I'm all for increasing the fish population, but, so a handful of sportsmen wanting to catch more fish, and then the environmentalists and they're wanting to tear down. This is what I don't understand. They want to tear down hydroelectric dams that are producing green energy. To increase the fish population,
to make the salmon run longer, or let them go upstream further.
I don't get it. And then the Congress is going, "Hey, wait a minute! You can't do that. That takes congressional authority.
That ain't stopped them. That has not. The Biden administration has not been slowed down a lot by lack of. I mean, they finally got overturned with some sort of finality about the pistol brace thing about 10 days ago. The ruling, the federal judge put a stay on all the pistol brace stuff. So pistol braces are now back on the market.
Well, they're back, and that looks like it may stick around for a little while. It's going to have to go to the Supreme Court to overturn that, right?
Yep.
So
That's right.
if it gets switched again, it'll have to be by the entire Supreme Court or a majority of the Supreme Court. So,
or it'll have to be actually voted on by Congress to make it.
So for all
illegal.
of those that burn them and throw them away and crush them,
You can go dig them up
you
now.
You can magically reappear them all now.
Yeah, one of mine magically reappeared back on my gun, like right before I went to Atlanta. I don't know.
I don't know. So, but don't think fishing and politics are mutually exclusive. It might be to the fish, but for those of us that's wanting to do it, hunting, fishing, sports, all that stuff.
Well, it's a perfect example of the government being involved in too daggum many things in our life. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
And try to please people that are their special interest groups without doing it within
the loudest
within
group.
the law.
The loudest group.
Sure,
Not
the
necessarily
biggest
the largest.
pockets.
Yeah.
So what is biting right now?
The bass are biting and the crappie are biting. I talked to a buddy of mine that fished below the dam last night. We got there about 4 o'clock in the morning. Caught us 50-pound blue cat on a live brim.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. I saw you sent me a picture. That thing's as big as his boat.
Somewhere, me and Charlie back in our archives of photographs. Somewhere there's a picture of my son holding up a big old blue cat from the river down there when we caught on a bush hook, and that was still, we've told that story. That's still one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. So Paul, we're in Charlie's 15-foot, 42-inch wide or 48-inch wide aluminum John boat, and we were running bush hooks below the dam on the river, and basically between Gulf Power, between the discharge at the old Gulf Power plant and the dam, we set a bunch of bush hooks out. And one evening, then we ran them a couple times, and we my son was he's 24 now, he's probably 12 at the time, 12 at the most. And come back the next day, and we got up the next day, and we come back over there, and we're going up the river and look over there, and it's a tree shaker. As Troy Landry would say, there's a tree shaker. The old willow limb on that willow tree, it was just bouncing up and down, and I was like, that's going to be a good one, And I go up there, and my son Justin's got the dip net, and I'm pulling the line up, and I told Justin, I said, now be ready when this thing breaks the water. Now you need to get the net up under him. And sure enough, that thing broke the water, and it was one long as your leg, big old blue cat. And I looked around, get the net, and I'm holding on to the shoot him, Elizabeth. I'm holding on to that line, and I'm saying, get him in the net. And I look around, and Justin had run. We're up on the front of the boat. Right. Charlie's driving the outboard to keep in the current. And I look back there, and that boy of mine is trying to climb Charlie and get on his shoulders back there. He went as far away as he could get in that little boat because he didn't quite know what that was that had broke the water there, but he knew it was as big as him. And we got a picture of him somewhere holding that fish as dang near as big as he is.
See that.
I will try to find it and put it on the YouTube thing, but I went out there one time and was narrating. You see that right there?
Yeah, I see it.
That big old. Remember?
Big old loggerhead.
Yeah, I had a video of that thing. I went up there and I was sort of self-narrating and stuff. This is holding the phone and trying to do the precursor to all this. And I'm going, yep, that's what you're looking for right there. Shaking it. Look at it, shaking the limb. And
Shaking the limb,
get up there, and I grabbed that string and I pulled it up, and that big old thing come out of there, and that little alligator snapped there, just opened its mouth and had that little tongue in there, and I'm like, and my phone fell down, and wasn't what I was expecting. What old nasty claw.
They look like a bear coming up out of the water.
Man,
you just don't know
things you see out there. It's amazing.
You know what? And some of those creatures are just
ancient too.
Ancient.
No telling how
you
old.
Just look at those things. Same thing with gators and everything else. You look at them, you can just see how old they are based on just that. Can you imagine going back to when there were real dinosaurs and stuff and what all that stuff looked like?
That old alligator snapping turtle, that big old thing there, they ain't no telling. Those things live to be 100 years old. There's no telling how old that turtle was.
Yeah. Well, he got that hook and a couple inches of line to take with him that day because I wasn't reaching in there and getting that hook.
I saw a
definitely
guy.
Shoot him.
Sure was sorry for that, but
man, that hook will rot in a hurry. But I had a buddy that caught one of them things one time when I was in high school, and I don't know where he caught it, but he had that thing and he had it in the back of his truck. And I didn't ask a lot of questions, but we was up there, gathered around looking at that thing, and somebody had a boat paddle. and they took that boat paddle and tapped him up there on that. That thing come out there and hit that boat paddle, and I mean bit it in half. Whop, just gone. It just clipped it like you had hit it with a chainsaw. Just whap, and it's all over with. Those things are.
Yeah, you seen on YouTube those guys that go under the water and get them catfish.
Noodling. Yeah, I'd be
I
worried.
don't think they could do that down here. Could them big old turtles get a hold of
them? They do it, but I'm
gonna tell you, as a public safety diver, which I was for 11 years, where you're searching for usually bodies. Unfortunately, at the sheriff's office, when I was diving for the sheriff's office, everybody said, "Ain't you scared of gators?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not," because every time I've ever encountered an alligator in water where I could see him and he could see me, they go the other way.
Yeah.
They run away. The thing I was most terrified of was sticking my hand in an alligator snapping turtle's mouth, because the way they hunt, they sit there with their mouth open and they've got their little pink tongue that they wiggle that looks like a worm, and when a brim comes along there to eat that worm, snap, they got him. That's a terrifying thought, because you ain't got no fingers anymore if that happens. It's just gone. And so in diving, what we called braille diving, when you're diving in zero visibility and you're just using your hands to search for something, I was greatly concerned about sticking my hand in the alligator snapping turtle's mouth.
Is that a foot? No, that's not a foot. Is that a hand? Is that somebody's head? Nope. Is that hair or weed? That's some.
Oh man,
that's some seaweed. No, that wasn't a head. Yeah, I did the SWAT thing. He did the dive team at the thing, and I wouldn't have done. No.
I mean, I tell you, that's I don't dive anymore. I think because it just completely made it not fun for me after doing that for 11 years. It made diving not so much fun anymore.
Well,
but when you're in it, you're doing it. It's one thing.
Yeah.
When you take a break and you look back,
you really think about what you're doing.
You go, I don't think I want to do that again.
Yeah, I most certainly would not dive in dirty water. That's for sure. If I dive again, or if I do that kind of stuff, it's going to be in.
Why would you ever do? The only reason you would do it in dirty water is for that reason.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't pretty.
No, there's nothing to see.
What'd you do today? Well, I could have sat there and closed my eyes in the recliner and been comfortable and seen nothing, or I could go underwater, be uncomfortable, miserably cold, and see nothing.
Blow bubbles in the dark. Yeah,
and see nothing.
Yeah, there's some conditions we dove in where if you wanted to see something, you had to touch your fingertips to your mask.
Yeah,
and because that's it. That was all you gonna get.
No thanks.
That'd take some special kind of courage there.
Yeah, you say a lot of prayers before you go down. Before you do that. That's just it is what it is. But somebody had to do it. So
been hearing a lot of duck shooting up there on the lake too.
Yeah, I've been hearing some shooting on Lake Ammonia. So I'm sure that it's coming around. Season's in, and it's Thanksgiving season. This week is the big traditional hunting time for a whole lot of people. So wish everybody good luck.
So, Paul, if somebody, just a fisher bite, and somebody does want to get up with you, how do they do that?
They can reach out to me on either Facebook, Captain Paul Tire Fishing, or they can give me a call at 850-264-7534.
Yeah, your Facebook page has got a lot of pictures of people catching some of their personal bests.
That's all I post on Facebook, nothing else.
It's awesome. I love going to your Facebook page and just looking, because it's just really cool. But y'all give Paul a call. Give Paul a call. He catches them all. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye. No, the customer catches them all. I don't catch them.